Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and in the Hesselson studio this morning, it's royalty. Hello, good morning.
I too will be supporting this legislation. I wish we would have supported the other bill that was proposed by my colleague.
Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. I'm so glad that you've joined us. Looks like my camera might have got bumped a little bit. We've got a lot to cover this morning, and we're going to hear all about Miss Colonial Days pageant coming up very soon. We're going to hear how you can sign up your child or your grandchild. That will be in the 7 o'clock hour. First, let's go to some viewer comments. Mark writes in, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Mark. Trump says for Iran, the clock is ticking. And two F-18 jets collide in an Idaho air show at an Air Force base. I saw that horrific video. Luckily, the crew members were able to safely eject. The two aircrafts were taking part in the Gunfighters Air Show at the Mountain Home Air Force Base, some 50 miles southeast of Boise. Pictures from the scene show a huge plume of black smoke pouring into the sky following the crash, which happened on the second day of the air show. Quote, we had 4 good parachutes. The crews were able to eject, an air show announcer told the crowd. They're located 1 mile south of where the smoke is. The parachutes came down. Crash, fire, rescue, and various other emergency services are on their way to the pilots and crew. There were 4 good parachutes, the announcer said later. That is always a positive in our world. If you are so inclined to take the time now to say a prayer, the announcer concluded. Dramatic video shows the 2 fighter jets colliding in midair before 4 parachutes are deployed. All right. Also, last week you may recall we got to add another wave to our map that's on the wall. This from Dublin. Well, we got a couple pictures that were sent in. Chris in the middle of Dublin, watching Frankly Speaking. Look at that beautiful view, huh? Wow. Pretty amazing. All right. Thank you, Chris, for sending those in. We do appreciate it. Okay. We also have a clip a little bit later on, if we have an opportunity to get to it, of Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. I know we had him on the program Friday, but a clip in regards to the firefighter bill that we talked about, where Republicans proposed $2,500 for volunteer firefighters. Democrats turned that down and ended up with, I think it was $800 for some reason. We're going to hear from Phil on that a little bit later on. Okay, big news from over the weekend. Senator Bill Cassidy was denied a 3rd term by Louisiana Republican primary voters Saturday, as he was projected to finish 3rd behind Trump-endorsed Representative Juliet Letlow and State Treasurer John Fleming. With 92% of the vote in, Letlow was leading with 44.8%, and Fleming was in second with 28.4%, and were projected to be the winners by the Associated Press, while Cassidy brought up the rear with 24.7%. Letlow and Fleming will now advance to a June 27th runoff, with Letlow favored to secure the nomination on the strength of President Trump's endorsement, which he reiterated with a post on Truth Social on Friday as he returned to Washington from that trip to China. He said, Bill Cassidy, vote to impeach me on preposterous charges that were fake then and now, are criminally insane. His disloyalty to the man who got him elected is now a part of legend. And it's nice to see that his political career is over. Cassidy is one of 7 Republican senators who voted to convict Trump of incitement of insurrection following the January 6, 2021 Capitol riot, when Senator Susan Collins facing a tough re-election fight this November. That number could be reduced to just 1, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, when the 120th Congress convenes on January the 3rd, 2027. Beyond the impeachment vote, Cassidy also called on Trump to drop out of the 2024 election in the wake of his indictment on charges of hoarding national security documents at Mar-a-Lago, and has claimed the administration is not pro-life enough. Trump got his revenge by preemptively endorsing Letlow in January before she even declared her candidacy, ensuring Cassidy would have to fight for the renomination. President Trump took one more kick at Cassidy shortly before the results were known, saying Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana is a disloyal disaster. His entire past campaign for the Senate was about Trump, how he's with me all the way, and then after winning, he turned around and voted to impeach me for something that has now been proven to be total, we'll say, baloney. House Speaker Mike Johnson, the most powerful Pelican Stater in Washington, okay, admitted Wednesday that the three-cornered fight left him in an awkward situation, saying Letlow was like a sister to me, and noting that Fleming had preceded him in representing Louisiana's 4th congressional district. Cassidy had spent months trying to bury the hatchet with Trump, even begrudgingly voting to confirm Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as Health and Human Services Secretary, despite clashing with the nominee over vaccines. Meanwhile, Cassidy and Fleming needled Letlow over her past career as a top official at the University of Louisiana Monroe, during which she described herself as a strong and progressive leader and backed DEI initiatives. Enough on that. Lindsey Graham was on Meet the Press on Sunday, and he said, I like Bill, meaning Bill Cassidy. I thought he was a great senator, but he made that political decision. He voted to impeach President Trump, which would have ruined his political life. He could never run for office again. Massey's on the ballot Tuesday. He votes against Trump all the time. What's the headline? Trump strong. Those who try to destroy Trump politically stand in the way of his agenda. They are going to lose. Bill made a decision. What would LBJ do? Is it natural for a politician to go after people who try to destroy their political life? So Bill Cassidy lost because he tried to destroy Trump. Massey's going to lose because he's trying to destroy the agenda. You can disagree with President Trump, but if you try to destroy him, you're going to lose because this is a party of Donald Trump. There's no room in this party to destroy his agenda or to destroy him and his family as a Republican. Democrats do it all the time. If you align with Democrats and stop his agenda like Massey does, you're going to lose. If you align with Democrats to drive him out of office like Cassidy did, you're going to lose. I disagree with President Trump on occasion, but he endorsed me. It's been enormously helpful to me. Thank you, President Trump, for endorsing me. It's helped me in my primary. It's just reality, and it's a good reality. I think President Trump is doing a heck of a good job, and if you try to destroy him, you're going to get destroyed. That is the takeaway. Now, Stephen Collinson of CNN, he's concerned what this means for Republicans. Now, keep in mind, CNN never wants to see a Republican win ever, but Trump's vendettas deliver. But at what cost to the GOP? Yes, I'm sure Stephen Collinson is laying around, probably can't even sleep at night, wondering what is happening with the GOP if they're going to win. Donald Trump is escalating his retribution drive after felling another Republican critic in a campaign that he finds deeply satisfying, but that comes with widening political risks for his party. Trump destroyed the re-election hopes of Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy in the state's GOP primary on Saturday, and will on Monday said Pete Hegseth to Kentucky as part of an effort to doom Representative Thomas Massey, a rare and controversial foray for defense secretary in wartime. Massey, who co-authored a law requiring the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files and who opposes the Iran war, faces voters this Tuesday, and we'll be talking a lot about that on Tuesday and Wednesday, of course. But he said Sunday he's not worried by Trump's attack, saying, you can tell that I'm ahead in the polls and they're desperate, he said on ABC's This Week. Trump also this weekend threatened to withdraw his endorsement of Lauren Boebert. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Trump's hardball Louisiana play was another stunning display of his power over his own party and his capacity to leverage the support of his most committed supporters. Even as a second-term president who has never been more unpopular nationwide, this political superpower explains why the president has not emulated previous unpopular commanders-in-chief and losing the capacity to shape domestic politics. Earlier this month, Trump toppled a handful of state lawmakers in Indiana who balked at his demands to redraw congressional maps. But Trump's pursuit of his political vendettas in a presidency increasingly revolving around personal goals, expensive legacy projects, and tin-eared economic messaging is going to cause a headache for the GOP. Trump is always, and I know Stephen Collinson from CNN is very concerned that the GOP could lose over this. Trump has always been a unique political figure. He built a movement that made him president twice through running his own fixations, such as immigration, tariffs, or NATO spending, into policy goals. But his latest antics come as Republicans deal with the early fallout of the turbulent second term ahead of difficult midterm elections. While he's acting on his own goals, Trump is now focusing on issues that are arguably far more vital to the country, like ending his war against Iran and the conflict's economic fallout, which is making an already stark affordability crisis much worse. Trump's interventions are deepening the core dilemma of GOP midterm candidates. How can they appeal to a broader electorate that disdains the president without incurring his wrath? Breaking publicly with Trump, meanwhile, could alienate base voters who aren't sufficient for victories in swing states to win, but who are needed to show up en masse to keep party candidates viable. Trump's zeal for revenge and his focus on passion projects like the new White House ballroom and a proposed massive commemorative art in Washington also offers a huge opening for Democrats to portray a billionaire president as out of touch with the lives of voters, majority of whom have been telling pollsters that they opposed his war and that his policies are making their lives worse. Trump needs to project total dominance, or his need to, raises questions about how far a term-limited president will go to mold the party as his exit from the political stage looms. At some point, the GOP will need to look to the future. That will be harder if candidates cannot maneuver away from the unpopular leader to satisfy their own political needs and their unique races. Anyway, you get the point. Really concerned about what this means for the GOP. The question now is how long an increasingly unpopular president who seems out of touch with the many voters' concerns will be able to exert power in a way that advances his own goals, but could create an uncertain future for his party. So now very concerned, Stephen Collins of CNN, very concerned about the future of the Republican Party. Again, a future they want to see no future for. They do not want to see a Republican ever win. So it's a little hard to take him and his concern to heart. Now, Trump, and as we said, Thomas Massie has that election coming up, a primary on Tuesday. He called for Kentucky residents, Trump did, to vote Representative Thomas Massie out of office. He took to Truth Social on Sunday. He said bad Congressman Tom Massie voted against tax cuts, the border wall, our military, and law enforcement. Actually, he voted against almost everything that is good. The worst Republican congressman in history. Kentucky, vote the bum out on Tuesday. We can't live with this troublemaker for another 2 years. He is a true negative force. The incredible people of Kentucky's 4th congressional district, who want desperately to get rid of Thomas Massie, the worst Republican congressman we've had in many years, gave us a mandate to make America great again. The person that will help us do that job and do it right is Navy SEAL, Army Ranger, 5th generation Kentucky farmer, and American hero, Captain Ed Gallerin, a true patriot. Now, in an interview, Gallerin explained that Trump has a limited amount of time to implement his agenda. The clock is ticking. The president knows this from his first term. He's going to only have a limited amount of time to implement his agenda and the dynamics. Look how fast President Trump is moving. Gallerin also noted that Kentucky voters have decided whether they want a native Kentuckian who's a generational farmer and a career Navy SEAL officer, or whether they want a career politician that puts self above service. And as I had mentioned, we're going to move away. Well, we got a couple other things on this, then we'll move along. But your thoughts on Bill Cassidy out? What do you think? Does Thomas Massie stand a chance? Thomas Massie has voted against the president numerous times. He kind of likes being, as they say in wrestling, the heel. He kind of likes going against Trump's agenda and getting that attention. It gets him on the Sunday shows. It gets him on outlets that a Republican would not normally be invited. That is kind of his shtick. He seems to like that. Your thoughts? Will he make it through Tuesday? Polling doesn't show him doing too bad, so there is a possibility that he kind of outlasts the attacks by Trump. Your thoughts? We got a couple of other things, some New York State issues as well, so stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
You don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Spring Value Days are here, and our prices are lower than ever. Stop by your neighborhood Value Home Centers and spring into savings. Save over 35% on Rust-Oleum 2X Spray Paint and Primer, only $4.97. Tackle your to-do list for less. DAP Silicone Max, window and door, or kitchen and bath caulk is half off, just $5.99 each. Don't miss your chance to save.
Value for the do-it-yourselfer. In you.
The Memorial Day sale is officially on at Ray Moore & Flanagan, and you can save up to 30%. Now is the ultimate time to buy. Discover incredible deals on cozy sofas and sectionals, statement-making dining sets, and bedroom sets that prioritize your comfort. You can also save up to $1,500 on top mattress brands. And for a limited time, combine select mattress sale pricing with special financing for 72 months. Don't miss savings up to 30% today at Raymore Flanagan.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We kick off the work week with a high near 20 degrees above average, brushing close to 90. A south-southeast wind, hot and sunny. Then tonight staying very mild with temperatures once again about 20 degrees above average with a low in the mid-60s. More 90s on the way for Tuesday. We will see some shower and thunderstorm potential Wednesday. And before you know it, back to highs in the 60s starting Thursday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. So President Trump went after Lauren Boebert this weekend. She was out campaigning with Massey, Thomas Massey. He said, is anyone interested in running against weak-minded Lauren Boebert in Colorado's 4th Congressional District? You remember Lauren moved to the district when it became obvious that she couldn't win in her original congressional district, the 3rd? A carpetbagger indeed. Boebert is campaigning for the worst Republican congressman in the history of our country, Thomas Massey, of the great Commonwealth of Kentucky. And anybody who can be that dumb, anyone who can be that dumb, deserves a good primary fight. Even though I long ago endorsed Boebert, if the right person came along, it would be an honor to withdraw that endorsement and endorse a good and proper candidate. A good and proper alternative, excuse me. Just let me know or announce your candidacy and I will be there for you. President Donald J. Trump. He then continued, word is that Rand Paul and Lauren Boebert, two very difficult and highly unreasonable Republican votes, are right now in the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, which I won by 31 points, parading around like fools for the worst Republican congressman in the history of our party. His name is Thomas Massey, and he is a disloyal, ungracious, and sanctimonious fool who almost never votes for even the best of Republican values. The man running against Massey, Ed Gallerin, is a true American patriot, a farmer from Kentucky, and a military hero. He is loyal and MAGA all the way. Vote for Ed Gallerin and wipe away the stench of one of the worst congressmen in the history of our great party. Thomas Massey. May we never have to deal with him again. President Donald J. Trump. Also on the redistricting side of things, Tennessee Representative Steve Cohen, Democrat Steve Cohen, broke down in tears while reflecting on his decision to drop his re-election bid after redistricting all but ensured he had no path to victory. Cohen, the Democrat from Tennessee, the sole Democrat in Tennessee's congressional delegation, lamented the Republicans' revamping of the volunteer state's 9th district, which is majority-minority, and railed against redistricting as bad for democracy. I'm upset by this, he said, and I don't get the criticism of stand and fight. Why would you fight when they change the district and there aren't enough votes for you to win? That's silly. Cohen, who has repped the Memphis Center District since 2007, underscored that the mid-decade redistricting race that has gripped the country this year is almost never done. He accused retiring Tennessee Governor Bill Lee of caving to pressure from President Trump. While discussing the ordeal, Cohen began to well up, to cry. It's funny, my press agent today is the most cameras I think I've had since the Victoria incident. And here we are again, and I got tears. That's a reference to the wild controversy in 2013 when it was revealed that a woman named Victoria Brink, whom he claimed was his biological daughter, was shown in a paternity test not to be his. Cohen also reflected on the fact that he is a white man representing a black majority district. Republicans moved to carve it up in the aftermath of the Supreme Court's gutting of the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. I've got a great district, wonderful people. They support me so well. You know, it's an amazing thing that the African-American community supported me for 20 years as they did. And the Republicans don't see it, and they just tear it apart because they have no perspective of caring about African-Americans or caring about people getting together and anything nice that happens. It's a tough sport, and they play it tough. Now, Tennessee's primaries are slated for August the 6th. So there you are there. Okay. When we return, a couple of quick things, nothing we can really segue through. Keep those waves, keep those comments coming in. As I said, we're going to have a clip from Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, and probably in this hour. Also, in the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to hear from last year's winners, 2 of them, of Miss Colonial Days, and promoting this upcoming Miss Colonial Days pageant, which is in June. You'll hear all about it in the next hour. On tomorrow's broadcast, we're going to be talking with Tony Pucci. He's an author of the Michael Bishop Mystery Series. I love these books. He's going to tell us about the new one, Whoppers and Other Lies. That'll be on tomorrow's show. Wednesday, we'll be talking with the Corning Rotary Club. We look forward to hearing from them about an event that they have coming up. And on Thursday, United States Air Force Heritage of America Band. That's where we're at right now. We've got quite a few other interviews for the end of this week and next week. They're just not set in stone yet, but I'll make sure to let you know when they are set in stone. Also, don't forget tomorrow, and I'll be reminding you tomorrow as well, tomorrow is the school budget vote in your area, 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. School budget vote is tomorrow, and it's hard to believe, but here we are, little short of a month, or a little longer than a month away, for the primaries. There are some primaries in our area that's coming up on June 23rd, so mark your calendars for that. All right, we got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Give kids time.
At Young's Tires, we install BF Goodrich truck tires built for work, weather, whatever the road throws at you. Get an $80 rebate when you buy 4 Michelin tires. Available March 26th through May 31st. More grip, more control. Serious truck performance. When it matters most. Young's Tires, where performance meets the road.
Give kids time. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Glassfest Rock the Park, presented by Simmons Rockwell. Saturday, May 23rd is Tracy's A Taylor Experience.
Welcome to our tribute to the Eras Tour.
Free and open to the public. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.
Down and play, I'll write your name.
$828 million people around the world go hungry every day, even though the world produces enough food to feed them. Early on, I knew I wanted to figure out better ways to get food to people who are hungry. What started out as volunteering became my life's work. What might surprise people is that this experience intertwines every day with my experience at Rotary. I've married my mission with my job, making an impact daily on this issue that I care about. And over the years, as a member of Rotary, I know I'm creating solutions. Whatever you care about, whatever's important to you, Rotary is a way to multiply the impact that you're going to have. Rotarians truly are changing the world.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We had mentioned this, and if anybody went, I'd love to know or see pictures, but thousands of Americans yesterday converged on the National Mall to mark the country's 250th birthday with a prayer festival featuring religious music and speeches by leaders from across faiths. As you can imagine, the media is not happy about that. We're going to tell you what CNN had to say in just a moment. But Trump declared May 17th a National Day of Prayer and a time to rededicate America as one nation under God. This is a recognition of the deeply embedded history and religious and moral traditions of the country, said Mike Johnson on Fox News Sunday. The pictures look amazing. Looks like a good crowd. This is an appropriate thing for us to do on the 250th anniversary, and the people who are upset about it, that oppose it, they want to erase the history of America and pretend as if we're not a nation that was dedicated originally to God. Top political figures such as Speaker Johnson, Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth were set to deliver video or in-person remarks to the crowd of worshipers. Johnson attended in person. Religious leaders read scripture and delivered remarks about the church's role in American history, as well as the importance of faith. Most of the leaders who headlined the gathering were conservative Protestants. Quote, "I hope everybody at Rededicate 250 is having a good time," Trump said on Truth Social. "If there's anything I can do to help, just have our beautiful, both inside and out, Rachel DC give me a call. I'm back from China." Referencing Fox News' Rachel Campos Duffy. Other key speakers included Evangelist Franklin Graham, Dr. Ben Carson, Cardinal Timothy Dolan, Bishop Robert Barron, Orthodox Jewish Rabbi Mir Slovich, House Faith Office Leader Paula White-Cain, and National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference President Samuel Rodriguez. The gathering was met with some protest activity from critics who argued it represented a blow to America's tradition of separation of church and state, and that is how the media is trying to present it. The agenda of this Jubilee reads less like a traditional religious event and more like a program for the Church of Trump, the government watchdog group Public Citizen said. Johnson blasted the naysayers and those who derided the term Christian nationalism, accusing them of trying to silence the influence and the voices of Christians. I think it's wildly inappropriate. The massive religious gathering at the National Mall was coordinated in large part by Freedom 250, which claimed the event is intended to give thanks for God's presence in our nation or in our national life throughout 250 years of American history and asking for his guidance for the next. In addition to the Christian-heavy display of religiosity, organizers encouraged Jewish Americans to observe a national Sabbath from late Friday through Saturday night. The May 17th date for the National Prayer Days traced to its original to America's early days. Shortly before the signing of the Declaration of Independence, the Congress declared May 17th, 1776, a national day of fasting and prayer. Now, like I said, CNN said that the event, quote, sparks concerns about the Trump administration eroding the wall between church and state. The latest flashpoint in the Trump administration's blurring separation of church and state. The event, dubbed Rededicate 250, a national jubilee of prayer, praise, and thanksgiving, is part of a series of celebrations commemorating America's 250th birthday and featured video messages from President Trump and other members of his cabinet. The event brought together faith leaders, public officials, and musicians to reflect and worship ahead of the anniversary of the nation's founding. Crowds of people flocked to the National Mall throughout the day, despite warm temperatures, many dressed in red, white, and blue. Worshippers gathered in front of a large stage adorned with towering white columns, and images of the Founding Fathers shone through stained glass. In a video message toward the end of the event, Trump briefly read from the Bible's Book of Chronicles. Shortly after, Speaker Johnson delivered a prayer calling for a renewal of patriotism in the U.S. The event closed out with a video from Vice President J.D. Vance proclaiming we have always been a nation of prayer. Sunday's event was the latest in a series of faith initiatives and policy moves championed by the White House that have bolstered an emphasis on Christianity in the government's operations, culture, and policy. Rededicate 250 will be a powerful moment to reflect on where we have been, recommit ourselves to the ideals that define us, and look toward the future with renewed hope and purpose, said Freedom 250 Senior Advisor Daniel Alvarez. While organizers invited Americans of every background to attend the event, the long list of faith leaders who attended consisted largely of evangelical Christians, except for one Orthodox rabbi and two conservative Catholic bishops. Brittany Baldwin, White House Senior Policy Advisor and executive of the White House Task Force America 250, described a focus on, quote, our heritage as a Judeo-Christian nation in a since deleted planning webinar that was posted ahead of Sunday's event. One visitor, Vicky Kanaga, told CNN that she traveled from Massachusetts, drawn to Washington for the opportunity to turn our country back to God. Ryan Phillips, who came from Mississippi with his wife and 3 children, acknowledged that while others may have concerns over the separation of church and state, he believes the concept means the government should not come into the church, not the other way around. And show me in the Constitution, by the way, where that says anything about separation of church and state. Such a frustration. Experts that spoke with CNN were split on whether the event was constitutional. Andrew Kopelman, a professor of Northwestern University Pritzker School of Law, who focuses on constitutional law, said the event was permitted because no court issued an injunction to stop it, but that it was contrary to the fundamental purposes of the Constitution. This kind of divisive embrace of a particular religion and trying to associate the incumbent administration with that religion is bad for religion, bad for government, and bad for America. Wow. Douglas Laylock, who specializes in religion and law at the University of Texas School of Law, said he believes this event was flagrantly unconstitutional. It is unconstitutional because it is explicit government promotion of religion, and not just religion in general, but of a fairly specific version of one particular religion. Meanwhile, Michael Moreland, professor of law and religion at Villanova's Charles Widger School of Law, argued there can be an intersection of religious faith and the public square, noting that prayers at open sessions of Congress and at the presidential inauguration. I think that this is kind of overemphasizing that idea of separation to think that an event like that raises any constitutional problems, adding that it's too strong a separationist view of what the First Amendment requires. Johnson, a devout Christian, on Sunday defended the event in an interview on the National Mall on Fox News, saying the gathering is a recognition of the religious and moral traditions of this country. Anyway, you get the idea. A government-wide focus on Christianity. You can tell they hate things like this. Faith, promotion of faith. We saw it when, who was it? I think when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, we saw the hatred of the young people that are turning religious. Now, the U.S. Constitution, First Amendment says that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. Okay. Another critic of the event, Rachel Laser, criticized it as government-run church service on the National Mall that many Christians don't agree with. It meant to establish the administration's narrow view of Christianity as the American religion. I can imagine that our founders are rolling over in their graves. Now, public-private funds used for this religious event. Last year, Congress allocated $150 million towards the 250th in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, but it's not clear how much public funds Freedom 250 received for this event. Freedom 250 referred to the National Park Foundation for funding details. The NPF then referred to the National Park Service, which CNN reached out to for comment. Anyway, you can tell the disdain, the hatred for events like this that highlight faith in this country. And we learned that according to a new poll, a Pew Research survey, a growing number of Americans say religion is gaining influence on society. According to the findings, 37% of Americans now say that religion is gaining influence in American life, reflecting a trend that's jumped in the last few years. While 61% say religion is losing influence in American life, that represents a dramatic fall in those sentiments over the last few years as well. The share saying religion is gaining influence has risen 19 percentage points in the last 2 years. It is now as high as it's been in center surveys going back to 2002. Of those who believe religion's influence is growing, most, 55%, view that as a positive thing, while only 17% of those surveyed believe that the U.S. should take things a step further and declare Christianity the nation's official religion. A plurality, 43%, believe that the U.S. should not make an official declaration, but still promote Christian moral values. Overall, 38% said the U.S. should not declare Christianity as a country's official religion, and they do not believe the U.S. should promote Christian moral values either. Respondents who were also asked, when the Bible and will the people conflict, which should have more influence on U.S. law? 28% said the Bible, and 21% said the will of the people. Another 48% said the Bible should not have much of an influence or none at all. Well, there you go. Tying that in together. All right, we got a lot more to cover. We're going to be jumping around here in the next segment. As I said, we've got Miss Colonial Days coming up here in just a little bit. Tomorrow, Tony Pucci. Wednesday, the Rotary Club. Thursday, United States Air Force Heritage of America Band. Yeah, we've got a busy week in store. A lot of waves coming in. A little quiet on the topics, but we're covering a little bit of everything, so I don't blame you. What do you think the biggest issue of the day is? Do you think Thomas Massey will be defeated tomorrow? We can talk about that. Also, don't forget the school budget vote and board vote is tomorrow. Keep that in mind. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Glass Fest the Park, presented by Simmons Rockwell. Friday, May 22nd, it's award-winning country music powerhouse Drake White with soulful country entertainer John King opening. Friday, May 22nd in Riverfront Centennial Park in Corning. Free and open to the public. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.
Spring into things at the Declaration of Deals this May at Chilson Wilcox. Drive home a Ram 1500 and save over $6,400. Plus, get 2.9% for 72 months or 4.9% for 84. And it comes with the best powertrain warranty in the business. 10 years, 100,000 miles. Or save over $6,000 on a new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Just announced, go topless in a 2026 Jeep Wrangler. And as always, get the highest trade-in values, period. These deals won't last. Chilson Wilcox, selling cars a different way, the right way.
Let's say this is your head. It's way too easy to let it fill up with anxieties, worries. If that happens, visit yourlifeyourvoice.org. You'll find ideas that can help you get back on track. You only have one head. Look after it.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We kick off the work week with a high near 20 degrees above average, brushing close to 90. A south-southeast wind, hot and sunny. Then tonight staying very mild with temperatures once again, about 20 degrees above average with a low in the mid-60s. More 90s on the way for Tuesday. We will see some shower and thunderstorm potential Wednesday, and before you know it, back to highs in the 60s starting Thursday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Comment from a viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning to you. Trump's renovations of the reflecting pool have to be driving the Democrats crazy. But he had to make it bigger and stronger to hold all of the liberal tears. Isn't it great that Trump is our president for the big 250th year anniversary celebration? Yeah, and what a bunch of great celebrations they have in store. So yes, it is exciting, and they are outraged over the reflecting pool. I don't know if I have anything on that this morning, but yeah, they're not too happy, especially those in the media. We're going to talk a little bit about a couple things, updates from last week, but someone had sent this to me this morning. I forgot to read it at the beginning. President Trump criticized Democrats Saturday for pushing climate change. This is for Climate Fact Friday. Bob? For pushing climate change fears, and said the United Nations leading climate committee admitted its projections were off the mark. In a post on his Truth Social, Trump wrote, "Good riddance. After 15 years of Democrats promising that climate change is going to destroy the planet, the United Nations top climate committee just admitted that its own projections were wrong. For far too long, climate activists have been used by Democrats to scare Americans, push horrible energy policies, and fund billions into the bogus research programs. Unlike the Democrats," he really likes that new term, "who use climate alarmism nonsense to push their Green New scam, my administration will always be based on truth, science, and fact." President Donald J. Trump. Now, his administration has been working to pull the United States back from climate issues. And in November, several attendees at the COP30 climate conference in Brazil shared their disdain for the American president. So there you are. Some Republicans recently introduced legislation to prohibit Democrat-run states from hurting American energy producers, though that was described as climate lawfare. We know what we're dealing with here in New York State. We've talked about the failed climate policies here that have caused your bills to unfortunately skyrocket. We can talk about that if you'd like, but good riddance, says the president, as the United Nations lead climate committee admits their projections were all wrong. You know, last week we were talking about, and I don't know why it came up so much last week, but this is just an update, Vance or Rubio. You know, they're trying in the media to pit these two against each other. Well, Secretary of State Marco Rubio doubled down on his stance. He was doing an NBC interview, and they asked him about, would it be Vance or would it be him running in 2028? Marco Rubio said, "I'm going to be in this job for the next 2.5 years. I'm going to do that job. I'm going to finish the job for this president. I'm enjoying it very much. I think we're going to make a lot of good things happen. JD is a very good friend of mine. If JD runs for president, I think he'd be a phenomenal candidate. I've said publicly, and I'll say it again, I'll be the first person to sign up and support him. I think JD would do great. Asked whether he would want to be vice president, Rubio replied, I want to be the Secretary of State, and I'll worry about the future in the future. I'm not telling you that. That's what I'm aiming for, you know? I've been doing this for a long time, too. I was in the Senate starting in 2010. So I'd like to do some other things with my life at some point, although public service is an honor to be able to be involved in. Now, Rubio's comments come as Vance continues to lead or perform strongly in early 2028 Republican primary polling, while Rubio has also appeared among the top names in a hypothetical GOP field. A Harvard-Harris survey taken April 23rd through the 26th among 2,745 registered voters found Vance and Harris leading the respective primary fields. Vance led Republicans with 48%, followed by Donald Trump Jr. at 18%, Rubio at 16%, Ron DeSantis at 9%, and Tucker Carlson at 4%. That's an interesting poll to me because I don't really hear that many people really talk about Don Jr., or I don't know if he even really has any political ambitions. I know he's talked about it in the past. I can't imagine you start right with president, though I guess his father did. But I don't know about Don Jr. in that sense. Your thoughts? I mean, I like Don Jr. A lot of people want to see him run for governor here in New York, being that at least once they were New York residents. That, of course, did not happen. We do have a couple updates on Bruce Blakeman if we get a chance at Long Island Railroad. That's kind of interesting what's going on there now with the strike. We can talk about that if you'd like. It's causing quite a headache, if you will, for Governor Hochul. If you haven't been paying attention, it's over 250,000 New York City area commuters are having a much worse Monday than usual as the Long Island Railroad's first strike since 1994 continues. The dispute between 5 Long Island Railroad employee unions and the Metropolitan Transportation Authorities, the state agency that operates the LIRR, which began on Saturday at 12:01 a.m., didn't come out of the blue. Contract negotiations proceeded unsuccessfully for over 3 years, and 2 federal interventions also failed to move the needle on a deal. The 3,500 engineers, signalmen, machinists, and other employees in the striking unions have not received a raise since 2022. They're seeking a 9.5% retroactive raise, 3% for 2023, 3% for 2024, and 3.5% for 2025. The MTA agreed to that. But the sticking point involves the strike also asking for a 5% raise for 2026. The MTA said no can do, as it would exceed deals it has made with other unions in its jurisdiction. To avoid drawing the ire of the 80 other unions, the MTA countered with a 3% raise and a lump sum cash payment, which they rejected. The MTA said that the cash compensation for workers in the 5 strike unions for 2025 averaged $136,000. Workers' proposed changes to healthcare premiums were unanswered. So there you go. A little bit on that. If we have a chance, we'll talk about what Blakeman had to say about it. We already got to take another break. Boy, this show is moving fast. If you are new to the show, you can always reach out with a comment or a wave at the number on the bottom of the screen. We've got an update on Cornell. Cornell making the national news a couple weeks ago as the president of Cornell University was, I guess, not charged, but they claimed that he had hit students with his vehicle, the students that were protesting. There was a lot more to that. We talked about it on the program, that it was these kind of agitators that wanted to in some way get hit. That Cornell's president seemed to handle it as best as he could. Well, we're going to give you an update on that. We do have a couple of things on Iran. I see that Trump yesterday was going to convene in the Situation Room, have a meeting at the Situation Room on potential Iran military options. The meeting, first reported by Axios, comes as Trump intensified pressure on Tehran over the weekend, warning Sunday that the clock is ticking for Iran and declaring that there won't be anything left of them if Iranian leaders do not get moving fast. The United States and Iran appeared locked in a standoff after Trump rejected Tehran's latest response to a U.S. peace proposal as totally unacceptable, while declaring the ceasefire to be on life support. The standoff centers on Iran's nuclear program and weapons ability. So the clock is ticking, and there won't be anything left of them, meaning Iran. So they went in the Situation Room, and that's why this morning I've been trying to keep refreshing my browser here to make sure we are not missing any breaking news, because this is around the time it seems like something may be done, but nothing as of yet. If you hear anything, let me know as we are live. All right, stay with us. Couple updates when we return. Also, we're going to hear from Assemblyman Phil Palmisano in just a short little clip. Why don't we do that? We'll play that coming up when we get back from break. And then we'll get back into, like I said, Cornell, a couple other issues as well. But Phil Palmisano, who was on the program Friday, if you missed it, you missed a great one. You can find that on our YouTube page. Go ahead and watch the full interview with Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. But he reacts to the new tax credit for firefighters when we return. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
It's the home of creativity. Release your inner audio engineer. Create with the 3D printer. Make your clothing ideas come together with our sewing machine rentals. Or come to the library event nights to chat with those within your community. All with your library card. Go to your local library today.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.
At Simmons Rockwell, you'll find brand new 2026 Chrysler Pacifica Select all-wheel drive passenger vans for only $43,999 during the Declaration of Deals event going on now at Simmons Rockwell Dodge Chrysler Jeep.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam. Brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Mark writes in and said, I saw a clip where Hochul was begging the Long Island Railroad to go back to work, and Trump says it's totally her fault. We can talk about that. I've got some updates on that. We may save that for the next hour because it is so specific to Long Island, but it is affecting many people in New York City, obviously. But first, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano is reacting to the Assembly passing a new tax credit for volunteer firefighters and EMS workers, despite voting down similar legislation proposed by the Assembly Republican Conference, which would have given our heroes more. Under the Republican plan, individual volunteer firefighters would have received a tax credit of $2,500, while the bill ultimately passed by the Assembly will give them a tax credit of $800. This is what the Assemblyman had to say.
I, too, will be supporting this legislation. I wish we would have supported the other bill that was proposed by my colleague, Mr. Angelino, that would have provided the $2,500 tax credit. We're on the cusp of passing a $250 billion budget. It seems like we could have done a little bit better for our volunteers, but this is at least something and a step in the right direction. I was at a volunteer banquet this past weekend. They honored one gentleman who had 75 years of service. I was blown away. And I know you probably see it when you go to your fire department banquets. This is not just individual commitment. This is a family commitment. This is a generational commitment. These individuals dedicate and commit so much. And not only do they protect their neighbors, not only do they protect their neighbors' property, but they protect the property taxpayers. Because the study was shown, if the services our volunteers had to provide were paid services, it would cost over an additional $4 billion in property taxpayers, additional $4 billion in property tax increases to local property taxpayers. So this is something at least we can do to say thank you. It does not come to the level of thanks they deserve and need, but at least it's something for now, and we need to continue trying to do more. So I will support this legislation. We are so blessed to have such a great, dedicated a number of individuals who commit their lives to protecting their neighbor and their community. And we need to continue to say thank you through the financial means and just basically saying thank you to them when we see them. So I will be voting yes on this legislation.
Thank you to Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. We appreciate that clip. That was a kind of a hot topic last week. Okay. So how are we doing on time? Well, we're not doing too good on time, are we? A couple quick things. As I mentioned, we're going to be talking about Miss Colonial Days coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. Miss Colonial Days pageant is Thursday, June 11th at 6 p.m. You want to sign up your child or your grandchild. They must be females between the ages of 4 and 18, and sign up is by June 5th. So deadline for entries is June 5th, 2026. A little bit later on, we're going to be talking with last year's winners. I think there's 12 total winners by age groups, but we're going to talk with 2 of them and the MC or the host of the event, Lisa Trosha. So that'll be coming up in the next hour. But let's take a short break. Then we're going to tell you about Cornell. We're going to tell you a couple of other things about Iran. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox getting ready to wrap up hour number 1.
Month after month, year after year, even decades you've paid into the insurance system. You've done your part. But when you're seriously injured in a car accident or another tragedy, that system turns its back. Insurance companies care more about pumping up profits and stock prices than paying for your medical bills, your lost wages, or your recovery. At WYDC Injury Law, we fight to make them pay what's fair. If you've been hurt in New York or Pennsylvania, call 607-500-HURT. Don't let the insurance companies win. Get ready for Glass Fest, May 22nd through 24th. Brought to you by Chemung Canal Trust. Experience the magic of live glass blowing. From hands-on fun to incredible sights, there's something for everyone. Explore creations from local artisans. 3 days, one incredible celebration. Brought to you by Corning's Gaffer District. On Friday night, it's Drake White with John King opening. On Saturday, Tracy's A Taylor Experience. Join us for Glass Fest. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We kick off the work week with a high near 20 degrees above average, brushing close to 90. A south-southeast wind, hot and sunny. Then tonight staying very mild with temperatures once again about 20 degrees above average with a low in the mid-60s. More 90s on the way for Tuesday. We will see some shower and thunderstorm potential Wednesday, and before you know it, back to highs in the 60s starting Thursday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. So out of Cornell University's Board of Trustees said that it is standing by the Ivy League school's president, Michael Kaltikoff, after a group of students followed him to his car and surrounded him following an Israel-Palestine debate series last month. Quote, the committee has found that the actions taken by these individuals on April 30th, which included following President Kotlikoff from an evening event into a parking lot and impeding his ability to leave, are inconsistent with university policies governing expressive activities and our standards for respectful conduct, safety, and prohibition of intimidation. And we had said this at the time. I mean, they were trying to make it sound at first as if he was in the wrong. He clearly was not. It was kind of these anti-Israel protesters who we know have become very aggressive. Several of the students who claimed at the time that the president's car had struck them all declined medical treatment and refused to provide sworn statements to campus police despite repeated attempts to collect them. CUPD presented the evidence collected to the Tompkins County District Attorney's Office, which determined that no criminal charges were warranted against any individuals involved in this matter. President Kotlikoff has declined to pursue a complaint against the students involved, which would have been required to initiate action under the university's code of conduct. Appropriate action is being taken against the non-students involved. Well, you hope that there's some type of punishment for the students, but if he's not setting up charges, I doubt there will be. The same group of rabble-rousers have become notorious on the university's Ithaca campus for spewing abuse towards Cornell staffers, both online and in person, and swarming Kotlikoff's vehicle as he attempted to exit the campus is the latest escalation in their tactics. The students became incensed following a campus debate series hosted by the Cornell Political Union and co-sponsored by Cornell Progressives, Cornellians for Israel, and Students for Justice in Palestine. Kotlikoff, who has been president of Cornell since March of 2025, insisted that the earlier debate series event was vigorous and civil and was a prime example of the open discourse that we prize in our academic community. Although Kotlikoff maintained from the start that the enraged leftists were the aggressors in the caught-on-camera incident, left-wing students claimed he injured at least 2 protesters in the parking lot. When we tried to discuss campus speech policies, he hit us with his car, the students for a Democrat at Cornell wrote on Instagram. Kotlikoff's violent response to student inquiry is just another example of his administration's repressive crackdown on student speech. Between its rigorous investigation, which included consulting with independent legal counsel to ensure the integrity of CUPD's own probe, the video evidence and participants' unwillingness to cooperate, the board found Kotlikoff acted appropriately, concluding its missive with a strong vote of confidence. President Kotlikoff has shown a steadfast commitment to Cornell's values and principles, and we are confident he will continue to lead with integrity as we work together to carry out our shared mission to discover, preserve, and disseminate knowledge, to educate the next generation of global citizens, and to promote a culture of broad inquiry throughout and beyond the Cornell community. The result of the Board of Trustees' investigation into the incident between activists and Cornell's president confirms what the public video showed, said William A. Jacobson. Reckless conduct meant to trap and confront the president in a dangerous manner, and a highly questionable claim of injury by the activist. This incident is just the latest example of Cornell's anti-Israel activist community that is out of control. The law professor Rosensaft said he was extremely gratified the board reached the conclusion it did. I think the resolution speaks well to both Cornell. It speaks well for the board and for the ad hoc committee that expressed its full confidence in Mike Kotlikoff. I think President Kotlikoff is 100% correct in not pursuing any disciplinary measures against the students involved, because that's what they would have liked. They would have liked to be turned into martyrs, but instead they can now be relegated back to the obscurity that they so richly deserve. The incident comes a little more than a year after the Trump administration suspended more than $1 million in funding for the elite university last April. But kind of tying in with this, we talk about this anti-Semitic, anti-Israel protest. Bill Maher over the weekend blasted Democrats, saying liberals have failed to condemn anti-Semitism. There is a frothing anxiousness for the literal extermination of this one group, Jews. And Democrats, where are you? If any other minority group was being talked about this way, you'd have 10 benefit concerts, but because you see that so many of your brainwashed by TikTok constituents now have an unfavorable view of Israel, you indulge them when you should be correcting them. You don't tell your woke idiots that Israel isn't a colonizer or an apartheid state or committing genocide, and that if you brats had to spend a week anywhere in the Middle East other than Israel, you would understand that liberalism is not. Maher offered a warning to the left. Let me just say this to all who ask me. Why are you harder on the Democrats than you used to be? Until you fix this whole issue, stop asking me. People say the left and the right can't agree on anything these days. Well, there's one thing that they agree on. He proceeded to call out both liberal and conservative figures who have indulged in anti-Israel or anti-Semitic comments. Other criticism from U.S. college professors and right-wing voices come into focus as well, saying Israel was founded on the idea that anti-Semitism made a Jewish state necessary because Jews would never be safe without one. Can you honestly listen to this rhetoric and not see why that turned out to be true? If you don't have the right-wingers on your side and you don't have the progressives, what do you have? He later added, referring to Nazi propagandist Joseph Goebbels, there are the kind of statement Goebbels would have read and said no notes. Maher also called out the Islamophobic rhetoric, but argued it severely pales in comparison to the seeming embrace of anti-Semitism. Headlines like the one in the New York Times discussing how fear and vigilance had become constant companions for Jews were shown on the screen during Maher's takedown. The Israel government announced this week it was initiate a defamation lawsuit against the New York Times over columnist Nicholas Kristof's contentious story. I'm not going to tell you even what it's about. But anyway, Bill Maher blasting his fellow Democrats for failing to condemn anti-Semitism. Well, that does it for hour number one. Stay with us. Keep those comments, keep those waves coming in, and we will be right back with hour number two after this.
When you're online, don't forget Visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
If you're looking for a great selection, low rates, and transparent pricing, look no further than Blaze Alexander Subaru in Muncie. We always have a huge selection of new and certified pre-owned Subarus in stock.
And check out our huge selection of certified pre-owned vehicles with over 105 in stock. And all come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile motor powertrain warranty.
Right now, lease a 2026 Forester for $282 a month, or a 2026 Crosstrek for $243 a month. Blaze Alexander Subaru, high in the hill of Muncie, where we're taking the deals the other guys won't. Guaranteed.
Come enjoy Spring Craft Show May 23rd, where you'll find the perfect gifts for birthdays, Father's Day, and more. From homemade decor, candles, jewelry, wreaths, and more. A 50-50 raffle, Chinese auction, and food to enjoy. All brought to you by the Clute Park Roller Rink.
For each life moment, your kids could get free or low-cost health coverage from Medicaid or CHIP. Kids up to age 19 are covered for checkups, vaccines, dentist visits, hospital care, and more. Your kids may be eligible now, even if you've applied before. And if they already have Medicaid or CHIP, remember to renew every year. Get started now at insurekidsnow.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department.
And we welcome you to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. We still have a lot of stories to get to, some international stories, some New York State updates in a little bit. Right around 7:20, we're going to hear from representatives of Miss Colonial Days pageant coming right up here in Painted Post. On June 11th, I believe it was. I wanted to mention this because this is an update from a story we brought to you last week. It's no secret that China is willing to influence and undermine U.S. interests and national security by any means possible, says Pat Fallon at Fox News. On May 11th, Eileen Wang, the mayor of Arcadia, California, resigned after pleading guilty to acting as a foreign agent for China, marking the latest high-profile example of the extent of our foreign adversaries' intelligence operations. The Chinese Communist Party is targeting U.S. lawmakers and officials from the state and local levels to our nation's capital. But not even target of foreign subversion efforts is as easy to compromise as, for instance, failed presidential and California gubernatorial candidate and former representative for California's 14th Congressional District, Democrat Eric Swalwell. Foreign intelligence assets are equally determined to gain access to principals' aides and staff, a reality that rarely makes national headlines. No, look how quiet they were when it was a leading person in Governor Hochul's administration. But we'll continue. In 2022, a compromised staffer for a Northern Virginia congressman was fired after the employee made repeated attempts to schedule meetings with other congressional offices at the behest of the Chinese embassy in order to lobby for the CCP's priorities. The U.S. Capitol campus, despite all the visible public security measures, bellies the truth that it's still relatively open access for the American people and foreigners alike. Lawmakers and staff on a regular basis also often have engagements with foreign diplomats who each have their own agendas that go beyond small talk at receptions. Even foreign entities that may not appear threatening at face value are oftentimes soft power and intelligence conduits for adversarial state actors. Russia-aligned entities posing as religious or non-political organizations sought meetings with congressional offices last year to disseminate Kremlin propaganda and sway U.S. policy. In a similar manner, individuals with academic credentials with strong ties to the Iranian regime have tried to influence congressional offices to advocate for sanction relief. These individuals, well known in Beltway foreign policy circles, strive to gain access to lawmakers and their staff and successfully exploit loopholes under the Foreign Agents Registration Act. The point here is not that members of their staff are totally oblivious to the threats posed by foreign agents. In fact, on May 9th, it was reported that a would-be CCP spy had offered $10,000 to a staffer on the Select Committee on China in return for insider information. The staffer promptly reported the incident, and the committee referred it to the FBI for further investigation. Still, this shows that the foreign agents can be subtle as well as bold in their attempts to gain access to classified information or compromise a target. What's clearly needed is a far more serious focus on deterring the threat posed by foreign intelligence operations. For this reason, Pat Fallon, along with other House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence Chairman Rick Crawford, have introduced the Stop Talking to Other People resolution. I like that resolution. Stop talking to other people. This resolution would require the House of Representatives to establish a training program for both members of Congress and staff with access to classified information to undergo counterintelligence training and information protection best practices. Many would be surprised that such a program does not already exist for Congress. In the interest of U.S. national security, we cannot afford to neglect giving our public servants the know-how and resources to combat foreign intelligence threats here in the workplace. After all, in recent years, the FBI has given a ballpark estimate of 10,000 for the number of foreign agents in the D.C. area. Because a savvy operator can easily develop the pretense to physically access congressional offices and lawmakers, it is no secret that foreign intelligence agencies view Washington, D.C. as the ultimate soft target for espionage. I just thought that was kind of interesting and an update from that story last week. Now, the U.S. is eyeing attack drone threats from Cuba. Now, we know that Cuba has had massive blackouts for hours on end. There are people protesting in the street. Cuba has acquired more than 300 military drones and recently began discussing plans to use them to attack the U.S. base at Guantanamo, U.S. military vessels, and possibly Key West, Florida. The intelligence, which could become a pretext for U.S. military action, shows the degree to which the Trump administration sees Cuba as a threat because of the developments in drone warfare and the presence of Iranian military advisors in Havana. Quote, when we think about those types of technologies being that close and a range of bad actors from terror groups to drug cartels to Iranians to the Russians, it's concerning, said an official. It's a growing threat. CIA Director John Ratcliffe traveled to Cuba on Thursday and bluntly warned officials there against engaging in hostilities. He also urged them to scrap their totalitarian government to end crippling U.S. sanctions. Director Ratcliffe made clear that Cuba can no longer serve as a platform for adversaries to advance hostile agendas in our hemisphere. The Western Hemisphere cannot be our adversaries' playground. The Department of Justice plans to unseal an indictment, as we had mentioned last week, of Cuba's de facto leader, Raul Castro, for allegedly ordering the 1996 downing of two planes flown by a Miami-based aid group called Brothers to the Rescue. More sanctions targeting the island nation could be announced this week. Cuba has been acquiring attack drones of varying capabilities from Russia and Iran since 2023 and has stashed them in strategic locations across the island. Within the past month, Cuban officials have sought more drones and military equipment from Russia, the senior U.S. official said. The official cited intelligence intercepts that also indicated Cuban intelligence officials are trying to learn about how Iran has resisted us. Russia and China have high-tech espionage facilities for collecting signals intelligence in Cuba. We've long been concerned that a foreign adversary using that kind of location that close to our shores is highly problematic, Defense Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said. In response to Hegseth, Diaz-Balart confirmed Castro's complicity in ordering the Brothers to the Rescue shootdown. Cuba's embassy did not initially reply to any Axios inquiry for comment, but later issued a written statement on X that did not deny it possessed attack drones, saying, like any country, Cuba has the right to defend itself against external aggressions. It's called self-defense, and it is protected by the international law and the UN Charter. Those from the U.S. who seek the submission and, in fact, the destruction of the Cuban nation through military aggression and war do not waste a single moment fabricating pretexts, creating and spreading falsehoods, and distorting as extraordinary the logical preparations required to face a potential aggression. The concerns about drone attacks on the U.S. forces have been heightened by Iran's use of the unmanned aircraft and its response to the U.S. attacks. All right, so there was just a kind of a quick update. Now, the Castro regime is closer than ever to falling since it seized power in 1959. Cuba is classified as a state sponsor of terror by the U.S., and it's considered the head of the snake, exporting revolutionary Marxism throughout Latin America. One former Cuban ally, Venezuelan's Nicolas Maduro, was removed from power in a January 3rd raid, as you know. U.S. officials don't believe Cuba is an imminent threat or actively planning to attack American interests, but U.S. intelligence indicates the island's military officials have been discussing drone warfare plans in case hostilities erupt as relations with the U.S. continues to deteriorate. Cuba doesn't have the ability to close the Straits of Florida in the same way Iran has brought shipping to a standstill in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. officials also don't believe Cuba is as much of a military threat as it was during the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. No one's worried about fighter jets from Cuba. It's not even clear that they have one that can fly. But it's worth noting how close they are, 90 miles. It's not a reality we are comfortable with. Now, in Iran, I mentioned it earlier, but President Trump said that the clock is ticking. He warned Sunday that the clock is ticking for Iran to strike a deal to bring the conflict to an end, urging Tehran to move quickly toward an agreement as he warned the regime risks being hit badly if negotiations continue to stall amid mounting questions over whether diplomacy can prevent renewed fighting. Writing on Truth Social, Trump warned Tehran that the clock is ticking, declaring that Iran had better get moving fast or there won't be anything left of them. Time is of the essence. We want to make a deal, Trump said. They are not where we need them to be. They will have to get there or they will be hit badly. The Iranians should be afraid of what's going on right now. Trump's latest public warning comes shortly after a more than 30-minute phone call on Sunday with Benjamin Netanyahu, during which the two leaders discussed Iran and broader regional developments following Trump's return from China. Israeli news outlet Ynet, citing an Israel official separately, reported that the question of renewed military action remains unresolved, and Trump still has not made a final decision. Quote, he needs to be at peace with the decision himself, and if he decides to resume the fighting, Israel will likely be asked to join. CNN and Axios reported yesterday that Trump met on Saturday with senior members of his national security team following his return from China to discuss Iran and possible next steps, including J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, John Ratcliffe, and envoy Steve Witkoff. According to CNN, the meeting took place at Trump's Virginia Golf Club and focused on both diplomatic and military options as administration officials weighed how to proceed amid increasingly strained negotiations. Multiple reports also said Trump is expected to convene another meeting Tuesday in the White House Situation Room as deliberations continue over possible military action. The latest discussion followed a New York Times report published on Friday that stated the United States and Israel were carrying out what it described as their most intensive preparations since the ceasefire for possible renewed operations should diplomacy fail. An Israeli official said the Americans understand that negotiations with Iran are going nowhere. Asked about Iran's latest response, Trump said he quickly dismissed portions of the proposal, saying, well, I looked at it, and if I don't like the first sentence, I just throw it away. It's got to be a real 20 years, not a fake 20. So there we are with President Trump. We got to take a short break. We still got a lot to cover. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Performance, precision, control, trust. Young's Tires is where performance meets the road. Michelin high-performance tires are built for exacting standards. That's why installation has to be right every time. Young's Tires, because at speed, details matter.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.
Summers, you can celebrate anything, like buying your first car. Yes! Cute. Finishing a big project. Or even your dog's birthday.
He's eating the cup, is that okay? It's his daily fiber.
Right now, you can lease a versatile all-wheel drive 2026 RAV4 with 0 down and first month's payment of $399 due at signing.
Your summer starts here.
Toyota, let's go places.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We kick off the work week with a high near 20 degrees above average, brushing close to 90. A south-southeast wind, hot and sunny. Then tonight staying very mild with temperatures once again, about 20 degrees above average with a low in the mid-60s. More 90s on the way for Tuesday. We will see some shower and thunderstorm potential Wednesday, and before you know it, back to highs in the 60s starting Thursday.
The Frankly Speaking roof cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horses. Look at that beautiful view of historic Market Street. Almost looks like a painting. If you didn't see the cars driving. Where were we? We were broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street Corning. Comment from a viewer. Morning, Frank. Well, good morning. Tomorrow is the Horsehead School budget vote. People need to get out and vote. There's 22% capital expenditure increase. The superintendent is getting a 5.3% increase as well. Wow. Yeah, it's not just Horseheads. I want to be very clear on that. All of our areas, schools, the vote is tomorrow on the budget and on the school board or the Board of Education. So that is tomorrow. It starts at 11 a.m., runs till 8 p.m. So we'll remind you tomorrow as well, but that's specifically at Horseheads, but also in Corning Pennant Post. We did an interview about Elmira Heights. All right, where do we want to go here? Oh, this is interesting. We talked about this last week. And yes, we are going to talk about Miss Colonial Day's pageant here in just a moment. But Vladimir Putin is hiding in high-tech bunkers. Experts warn a 1960s-style palace coup could be looming as Russian elites turn on the leader over his failing war. Deep beneath, and they say he's very paranoid at this point, deep beneath the reinforced concrete of a billion-pound cliff-top fortress, one of the most dangerous men on the planet is reportedly hiding from his own shadow. Vladimir Putin, the man who once rode horses bare-chested and projected an image of unshakable iron will, is claimed to have retreated into a world of subterranean bunkers and feverish paranoia. The gold-leafed corridors of the Kremlin are said to have been replaced by high-tech underground bases, as the tyrant fears that the very men who once bowed to him are now measuring him for a coffin. Whispers from Moscow suggest the elite no longer see a strong man when they look at the president, but a psycho who has destroyed decades of Russian economic progress and the fires of a failing war in Ukraine. According to one expert, no amount of body searches or secret tunnels could protect a leader if his inner circle decides his time is up. Dr. Jenny Mathers, a Russian politics expert, believes he would be looking at a brutal repeat of history. She suggests that the most likely end for Putin would be a palace coup, not by the military, but by political elites who decide Putin isn't their best interest any longer. Think about the way that Khrushchev was toppled in the 60s. While the Russian public is feeling the pinch of soaring inflation, reports suggest Putin's fear of an assassination attempt have reached fever pitch. The rattled president has effectively vanished into bunkers, including his $1 billion cliff-top palace, which is said to feature multiple hidden levels deep underground. He is reportedly dodging his usual haunts, terrified that his own associates will launch drone strikes to wipe him out. Sources also claim state TV is using pre-recorded footage to pretend Putin is out in the public, while full-body searches are now standard for anyone entering the Kremlin. Even his personal cooks, photographers, and bodyguards are said to have surveillance systems in their homes to ensure that they aren't cooking up a lethal pot. Despite the unrest over the bloody war in Ukraine and the mounting body count, Dr. Mathers warns that Putin isn't gone just yet. The things are notoriously difficult to predict in authoritarian regimes, where things can move very quickly and the leader is in control until suddenly he is not. Putin has surrounded himself with a series of safeguards against being overthrown, such as ensuring that he is well protected by the Secret Service or security services, using them to keep tabs on other members of the political elite, and making sure that no political challengers are able to build an independent power base. I think the current unrest is genuine. There's increased unhappiness with the effects of the war in Ukraine on everyday life, the high casualty rate, and the fact that there is no real end in sight. Even if the elites decide to pull the trigger, they face one massive problem in that there's nobody obvious to take Putin's place, saying this is one of the biggest obstacles to removing Putin. With whom would he be replaced? He has done such a good job of removing or discrediting possible successors that it's hard to see who would have the credibility and command enough authority to claim to be his successor. Also, Oh, there's a couple other things. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about China. I've got a really important one that I want to get to later on about. We've talked about illegal immigrants and with these CDL licenses and the danger that that's posed. New York State giving CDL licenses to someone that on the ID said no name given. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But first, we're going to hear about Miss Colonial Days coming up on June 11th, so don't miss that. That's coming up in just a moment. Our interview with Lisa Trosha, who is running the pageant, and then 2 of last year's winners. So that'll be coming up here in just a few moments. Then on tomorrow's broadcast, we're going to be talking with our good friend Tony Pucci. Tony Pucci has a new Michael Bishop mystery book out. If you haven't read these, I highly recommend them. The new one I haven't read yet, I can't wait to, is Whoppers and Other Lies is the name of it. So we'll be talking with Tony Pucci tomorrow. On Wednesday's show, we're going to hear from the Rotary Club in Corning. Thursday, we're going to hear from United States Air Force Heritage of America Band, which is coming to the Clements Center on Sunday. So that's just a taste of what's to come here on Frankly Speaking. We do have some other updates, some other interviews that are not set in stone quite yet. But once they're scheduled, I will let you know so you can prepare. But I would just highly recommend that you tune in every weekday morning, starting at 6 a.m. for Frankly Speaking right here on WYDC TV Big Fox. When we return, we're talking Miss Colonial Days. Stay with us.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
To them used to be, before talking to 988.
I felt alone.
I thought seeing hard things was just part of the job. I thought that having a bad day at work meant I was failing. But then I connected with someone at 988.
A real person texted back. Someone listened without judgment.
Now I know. Now I know it's okay to let someone help me too.
And I'm stronger than I thought.
We hear you. Call, text, or chat 988.
Glass Back the Park, presented by Simmons Rockwell. Saturday, May 23rd is Tracy's A Taylor Experience.
Welcome to our tribute to the Eras Tour.
Free and open to the public. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.
I'll write your name. My mom is a veteran and she was injured in the line of duty.
I hurt my leg in a training accident when she was only 2 years old.
She had 7 different surgeries over the span of 9 years, and there were tons of complications.
I couldn't be the mom my kids needed me to be.
She missed so much.
After my last surgery, I got an infection so bad I thought it was going to kill me.
I told her she couldn't leave me yet. There was still so much she had to see. I hadn't even graduated.
I'm doing much better now. I'm an active part of my kids' lives.
She can kick a mean soccer ball.
DAV's been there for me and my family. Through thick and thin, they've had our back.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans like Sandy get the health and disability benefits they've earned so they can achieve victories great and small.
My victory is getting my life back. I may have lost my leg, but I've gained so much. I got my joy back.
We got our mom back, thanks to DAV.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and in the Hesselson studio this morning, it's royalty. Hello, good morning. Could you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Isabella.
And what's your title? What's your sash say?
Tiny Miss.
Tiny Miss Colonial Days.
Yes. I'm Annunziata Tellerita, and I am Miss Colonial
Miss
Days.
Colonial Days. Well, thank you very much. First of all, congratulations. I know it's a little late. But
Yes.
I went last year, and you guys did wonderful. I knew you were going to be the champs.
Woohoo!
What do you think?
Yeah, Frank was there last year.
Yeah. So what has it meant, and I'll ask each of you, and we're going to talk about how people get involved in Miss Colonial Days, but what meant the most to you when you won, when they called your name?
We'll start with you.
I was happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember that feeling when they called your name as the winner? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A couple times. Were you excited? Yeah. Did you have butterflies?
A little bit?
A little bit.
You're pretty confident.
And I had flowers on my arm one time.
Yes, you did.
Butterflies in your stomach, flowers on your arms. What did it mean to you when they called your name?
A lot. It was definitely initial shock, but I was really excited for all the things that come with it and knowing I'd get to do the parades and
it's really been a
the
year.
girls.
Well, it's been a year-long thing, right? I mean, you've been pretty consistently busy. What was it like before they called your name? And it's probably hectic during the whole pageant. What was that day like for you behind the scenes?
I was really nervous the whole time. Yeah. I was honestly overthinking the poses and all that, but everybody there made me feel so comfortable.
Yeah.
And with her category, they have a little extra work that they have to put in. They have to write an essay, and they have private interviews with the judges beforehand that they're judged on. So it's much more than walking out onto stage and looking beautiful and just having that poise. Sure. There's a little more responsibility.
So what was the highlight of the whole experience for you? Because let's face it, I mean, not to get sad here, but it's winding down, your reign.
Being a role model for the other girls, I think, because they've told me so many things. The time that she brought us all the friendship bracelets, that meant the world. That was the sweetest thing ever.
Yeah.
Okay, so I asked a tough question about the essay. Now I got a tough question for you. How'd you lose your tooth?
I kept wiggling it.
Show everybody. Give us a big smile. Okay, that's all right.
Wiggle, wiggle.
And don't keep wiggling them. You'll be toothless by the end of the interview.
I already wiggled them.
Well, okay, and then I wanted to ask you another tough question. What's your favorite color?
Purple, red, and blue.
Ooh.
3 favorite colors. I like it. So what's it going to, changing off from that, what's it going to be like watching this year? I'm assuming you're going to go and attend. What's it going to be like watching and seeing everybody else participate in the pageant?
I think encouraging, honestly. I'm really excited to see who's going to be there, and hopefully I can make them feel very appreciated too.
Yeah. Is that what it felt like when you were up on stage? You knew a lot of people were there to support you?
Yeah, I was definitely looking around for support, and that's what I got. So I want to make sure and give that back.
And as we mentioned, you do events all year when you become Miss Colonial Days Queen. What was, and I'm going to ask both of you, but what was your maybe your highlights of the events that you participated in?
I think
there's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
all the smiles.
Yeah.
You got to meet a lot of people in the community.
I really did, yeah.
It's tough because you guys, I mean, it's a year-round, almost a good job, so, right?
Yes.
Yeah, in a good way.
Absolutely.
And how about you? What was your favorite event?
Do you remember any of the events that we did?
Like the parades.
The parades. You really liked that one.
The parades are always fun.
What about when you wrapped presents? That was really neat during Christmas time, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty chilly.
It was chilly, yes.
I also heard a rumor, though, that one of the events you got to dress up as Spider-Man. Is that right? Or Ghost Spider-Man?
Ghost
Spidey.
Was that fun?
Mm-hmm.
So every event was fun then, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you had alluded to it a little earlier on, but what's it feel like to get that bond with your fellow winners and be at the events with each other? Like even today, being together.
It's really sweet, and it's it's new.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't expect to have such a big group of girls that we'd constantly be with. And
sure.
Yeah, and the young ones look up to you.
They do.
Being the oldest, so you're like a big sister to them.
Yeah, that's what I meant by the role model part of it.
Sure.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you think, both of you think you'll stay in touch after it's over?
I hope so. She's such a sweet.
Yeah. She's doing such a good job. So I should have asked, what grade in school are you in?
First grade.
First grade. Are you excited for school to nearly be through, or are you going to miss it?
Yeah, it's almost summer.
I'm going to miss my teachers a lot.
Miss your teachers a lot. What about your friends? Not as much as the
What does it
teachers.
mean about in my class?
What's that?
What does it mean about in my class?
I don't know what that was. How about you? What grade are you in?
I'm in 11th.
11th grade. So you're definitely looking forward to summer.
Yes, I am.
It's not a question at 11th grade. And also, I should mention this because I'm going to put it up on the screen right now. I didn't realize until you walked in. You are on the flyer. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Would you autograph my flyer later?
Oh, yes.
That's up on the screen. You see the Facebook page right there. You can sign up. And I will come back and ask some questions. But Elisa, you've been doing this for how long now?
Yeah, well, years, but we revived it 3 years ago. So we're excited because we wanted to bring back this tradition that's meant so much to the community. And every year it grows and grows, and we get more and more girls, and we get more involved in the community each year and more sponsors. So that's the exciting part, is we're getting more exposure and it's just growing.
What's the experience? I asked them what the experience is for them, but what's the experience like for you on the day of and all the work before?
Busy.
Yeah, it sounds it.
It's busy, but it is so rewarding. Like, I love getting to meet all of the girls and work with them, and not just the queens that win, and these are just 2 of our 6 queens that won, but all of the contestants. I mean, I really get to know them, and a lot of them come back and compete every year or as often as they can, so that we're developing relationships, and I love watching them get older and seeing what they're doing with their sports and outside of the pageant. So it's a lot of fun.
What was your favorite? Do you go to all the events, pretty much, give or take?
I try to go to as many as I can. If I can't, I know that they're accompanied by their parents.
They're pros.
So.
Set the
you.
glasses
I
down.
got your glasses.
Do you have a favorite event you look forward to each year?
You know, I love all of them. We decorate the parade, or we decorate the floats and stuff for the parade. It's always a little chaotic, but it's so fun to get everybody together and then to see them. And I think the first time when they do the parade and watching them like in their dresses and waving, and then hearing the people that are in the crowd, because I'll walk with the floats and like, oh my gosh, Mom, there's princesses, and them just up there poised and smiling, and they truly are role models to other young girls in the community, and I love seeing that.
Oh, absolutely. Did you both grow up in Painted Post area?
I did, yes.
So for you, what's it feel like when you're in the Colonial Days Parade?
It's amazing, and another empowering part, I think I mentioned that earlier, I will have people see me and they'll say that they saw me when they were there, and that's just really cool too. Like, I've even had teachers say that they saw me in the pageants, and it's just, in the parades.
Did you enjoy being in all the various parades, and specifically Colonial Days?
What?
Did you like being in the parades?
Yes, I love them so much.
Yeah. Elisa, what would you say to someone watching this, and maybe they're watching, they want to participate, or a parent or a grandparent is saying this would be perfect for my daughter, my granddaughter? What would you say to them if they're on the fence?
Just sign them up. It doesn't hurt. Come out and see and just experience it. I mean, the girls open up. A lot of them, it's their first time doing anything like this. You know, we have some girls that come back every year, but I watch them gain their confidence every year. And then it's fun to watch some of the girls come out who you wouldn't think that this is anything that they'd ever do. And they have so much fun. And then they walk away with, again, lasting friendships. It's not only community, but these girls are going to stay in touch.
We have that. We have.
For
You don't
years
know.
to come.
You don't realize that we have sound effects right now because the mic is right directly on her.
I love
So we heard
it.
the zipper. We heard the pop of the lip gloss. So it's like an old-time radio
That is
show.
really cute. Can I see that?
That
Wow. I
looks
love
fancy.
it. Well, she is a lady.
Yeah, she's getting ready. You should have done it before we're on camera, not in the middle of the interview. Do you think, going back to you two, will you be doing more pageants in the future, or is this kind of a one and done thing?
It's an amazing experience, so I would definitely think about doing it again, to be honest.
Yeah. Do you want to do more pageants? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You remember how you put your glasses away? Maybe the purse this time? I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing.
Kidding.
I'm just teasing.
Frank.
Oh, that was ridiculous. Elisa, how do people sign up? We have, like I said, we had it up earlier. What's the best way to sign up? What do they need to know if they're going to join?
Yeah, so there is an entry form that they have to fill out, and there's a $35 entry fee that is non-refundable, and they have to upload a good quality JPEG photo.
Okay.
So those are really the only requirements, and you can get all of that information on our Facebook page, which I believe you have. It's facebook.com/colonialdayspagent, and there's pictures of past year so they can get an idea of what the queens are wearing. I send out a really detailed newsletter to all of the contestants so they know what to do, where to go, what to wear, how to act. There's all the information they could possibly need in there.
How stressful for all of you is that day, the big day?
Yeah. Little nerve-wracking.
Yeah, but it's like anything with time, it gets better.
And it's good jitters.
Yeah, and
right?
all the people around make it feel a lot better.
And I know, Elisa, you talked about this just being I mean, this has gone on forever, but it came back, COVID, things like that kind of slowed it down. And to bring it back, I mean, that crowd last year was a big crowd.
I know. So Pilar Miller was initially the one who started this and spearheaded it, and she passed it over to me years ago. And then when COVID shut things down, that was kind of the end of a lot of stuff for Colonial Days in general and in the community. So when I was approached by a few people to bring it back, I was elated. And I said, absolutely, I'd love to carry on that tradition. So we work really closely with Parks and Arts. They are the partners on this, and ECG Promotions, my company, and so.
And I know the people at Painted Post are so glad to have this back.
They're
and
wonderful to partner with.
Because Colonial Days was such that was Painted Post in a way, and so to have making this comeback and growing by the year and being so successful, and I got to give kudos because I know there's a lot of work that goes into this. How is the planning for Colonial Days in general, not just Miss Colonial Days?
Really good. I wanted to share some of that information. So June 11th is Miss Colonial Days pageant. We kind of kick off the weekend, and that'll be in the Village Square gazebo at 6 p.m. June 12th is the Wiffle Ball Tournament in Hodgman Park, and then Rock the Block at 6 p.m. in Village Square Gazebo, featuring Blue Eyed Soul. And then June 13th is a really busy day, Wiffle Ball all day, Craft and Vendor Fair at Craig Park, and I believe you can still sign up as a vendor. There's a couple spots open. Colonial Days Parade at 11, Chicken Barbecue at noon, high school bands at noon, Corning Community Band, and then fireworks at dusk. We're excited about this. Yes, it's going to be a big show.
Well, because I think they're tying it all in with America 250 and just this big celebration that's going to be all summer long. Do you get to participate in the parade this year? Do you know?
So the queens, they'll be handing over the title this year. So we'll have a new round of queens, but all the contestants will get to ride in a big float, and then the new reigning queens for 2026, they'll be in individual vehicles for the parade.
And you had mentioned earlier that it's not possible, like any event like this, without sponsors. Is it too late to sponsor Miss Colonial Day?
No, we're still looking for sponsors. I mean, we do gift bags for all of the contestants, and then additional gift bags for the winners, and we do gift bags for the judges, and we have a flower sponsor, and so there's a lot of ways to get involved, and I'm always looking for helpers.
Of course.
I'm one person.
Volunteers too.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
So if you wanna, absolutely.
I'll put that up on the screen. They can contact you at any time. Is there anything other than, when's the deadline? That's coming up pretty soon. You want people to sign up, I want to say.
Yes. Let's see, June 1st.
June 1st. Yeah. So coming up, so still plenty of time to plan and get ready for it. All right, before we go, I'm going to ask you two tough questions. Okay. What would you say to the girls that maybe think about entering the pageant and right now they're not sure?
If they're on the fence.
I think that they should definitely go for it if they are interested.
Yeah.
Because everybody around you will make you feel accepted once you're there.
Sure.
And it's a step you need to take.
Yeah. What do you think? Would you encourage people?
Same.
What she said.
Yeah, perfect. All right, final question. What are you going to do with your tiara and sash when it's over?
I'm going to give it back to them.
No, you get to keep it.
You get to keep it. You think you'll still wear it just for fun? Yeah. Sure. How about you? What are you going to do with your tiara and sash?
I think I'm definitely going to keep mine as a trophy.
Little display. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for giving me so much time this morning. And again, congratulations. All right. And we'll see you at Colonial Days. How's that?
Yay. Thank you.
All right. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frank. Oh, yeah. Blow kiss. There you go.
Go.
There. All right. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after that.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen. Give kids time. Ask Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Can you help me?
Mom, Dad, we're going out.
Thank you.
Oh, look, they're playing chess.
What you got there?
Will you help my mom?
She's real sick, huh? Hey, crew, I'll give the first move to anyone who signs up to be an organ donor. How do you do it?
Easy. Just go to organdonor.gov.
You heard him, organdonor.gov.
More donors means more hope. Sign up at organdonor.gov.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We kick off the work week with a high near 20 degrees above average, brushing close to 90. A south-southeast wind, hot and sunny. Then tonight staying very mild with temperatures once again about 20 degrees above average with a low in the mid-60s. More 90s on the way for Tuesday. We will see some shower and thunderstorm potential Wednesday. And before you know it, back to highs in the 60s starting Thursday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, and we thank our friends from Miss Colonial Days for being on the program this morning. We really do appreciate it. A couple comments from viewers. First of all, I like the headline this morning at the New York Post. I just saw it when I was making sure there was no breaking news. Cindy Adams has a piece, and it's titled, "It's No Secret Why Trump Was So Impressed with China's Youth. They were actually well behaved." All right, comments from viewers. Blakeman needs Spencer Pratt's team. These lame South Park commercials are stupid and will not bring people out to vote. I'm old but could do a better job engaging young voters than he needs. I have not seen the South Park commercials, but I haven't seen anything too groundbreaking from the campaign yet, but it is early. Early-ish. Ken writes in, how do the people that approve CDL licenses for illegal immigrants, allowing them to drive the biggest and healthiest vehicles on the road, escape any culpability for injuries or deaths caused by those same illegals? A better question would be, how do those responsible live with themselves, knowing that they are putting others in danger or have been instrumental in the deaths of others? The bottom line is, the Democrats will do anything to increase the number of Dem votes. A few unfortunate deaths are a small price to pay for gaining power and wealth. Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that, Ken, because Adam Coleman writes, a facet of the trucking industry, little known to the general public, has had a big impact on highway safety. And last week, a U.S. Supreme Court ruling ensured that it will have to take responsibility for the rigs that help send out on the road. That means innocent Americans who have been maimed or killed in big rig crashes caused by negligent truck drivers may finally pursue justice. And freight brokers that chase profits by contracting with unsafe trucking carriers, particularly those who hire unvetted illegal immigrant drivers, will have to rethink their business practices. The court's unanimous 9-0 decision in Montgomery v. Carib Transport 2, issued on Thursday, cleared the way for victims to sue freight brokers for alleged negligent hiring. Trucking industry veterans and victim advocates who have been ringing the alarm on Wall Street brokers' shady practices are rejoicing in response. Shannon Everett of American Truckers United said, "We are profoundly grateful to God for this miracle. This ruling clearly recognizes that highway safety demands full accountability from every participant on our nation's roadways." Freight brokers are the industry's middlemen. They handle the logistics of connecting producers. They have goods to be moved to carriers whose trucks and drivers can get those goods to buyers. But for years, Everett said, brokers have operated behind a shield of presumed immunity. They choose carriers to move the goods, but legally bore no responsibility when the carriers they hired operated negligently. And when brokers chase profits over safety by hiring cut-rate carriers, Everett said it pitted Main Street trucking companies against Wall Street freight brokers and contributed to an untold number of preventable deaths on our highways. According to Everett, the American trucking industry has been infiltrated by foreign chameleon carriers that took advantage of a formerly high-trust industry for profits. They ruined it for profits. The illegal immigrant driver who speaks no English doesn't magically end up behind the wheel of a big rig by himself. An entire ecosystem of greedy foreign and domestic elements put him in the driver's seat, abetted by failed policy decisions that left American drivers as collateral damage. The Biden administration not only failed to maintain the southern border and admitted millions making suspect claims of asylum, it gave many of those people work authorization to boot. States like New York and California easily awarded commercial driver's licenses to those migrants. That created an opportunity for foreign entities to set up shop within our borders, bringing in thousands of minimally trained, non-English speaking truck drivers willing to work for long hours and low pay. But these operations couldn't prosper without a middleman who asked no questions in exchange for profit. Too many freight brokers stepped in to be the bridge connecting shady carriers and their unvetted drivers with shippers large and small. They've been allowed to operate as mere matchmakers who aren't responsible for what happens on the roads. But the ramifications of the broker's decisions have been enormous. Deeply undercut by this cheap foreign labor force, long-standing American trucking companies have shut down, and American drivers have been forced out of business. The illegal immigrant drivers are all but indentured servants, literally living behind the wheels of trucks and driving twice as long as an American trucker is permitted to. And innocent American motorists have spilled their blood as a result. There's an upcoming documentary called The Illegal Highways. Adam Coleman sat down with Dean Miller, a devastated widow who lost her husband Scott, the love of her life, to an accident caused by a Mexican illegal immigrant truck driver who had been deported 16 times. He interviewed the Pearson family, whose husband and father, Robert Blake Pearson, was killed when an illegal immigrant trucker from India crashed into his car. Both families believe they've never received adequate justice for their shattering losses because the prosecutors have seen the driver's immigration status as political. The carriers are fly-by-night entities able to disappear without a trace, and the brokers contracting with those carriers were seemingly untouchable until now. The High Court's decision has opened a true avenue of justice for these families and will bring necessary change to the industry. No longer can brokers close their eyes to carriers' poor safety records and dubious hiring practices. Irresponsible brokers have blood on their hands, and now it's time for them to pay the price. So perfect with what Ken was saying. Oh, we got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back, frankly speaking, after this.
What better way to start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Glass Fest the Park, presented by Simmons Rockwell. Friday, May 22nd, it's award-winning country music powerhouse Drake White with soulful country entertainer John King opening. Friday, May 22nd in Riverfront Centennial Park in Corning. Free and open to the public. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.
Every journey is a shared experience. On the road, every decision has an impact, especially the decision to speed. Every mile per hour matters. Your speed affects more than just you. Ride and drive, as if everyone's life depends on it. Together, riders and drivers can save lives.
Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. A couple comments from viewers. Mark says, why sue the brokers? Shouldn't they sue the DMV or the Democrats who let it happen, or whomever issued these illegal licenses? I guess this is one way that they can hope to stop that practice, because it would be difficult, I think, to just sue Democrats or the DMV in general. So I'm guessing this is a kind of a workaround, maybe. Rick writes in, good morning, Frank. Good morning, Rick. Well, Powell's last day was Friday. Trump's boy will go, aye, aye, Captain, and lower rates. That will finish destroying the economy. Trump said the trip to China was a great success. Great friends, great relationships, some great deals, but he didn't say what they were. He said it was historic. He said all this after he got off Marine One. I know he's tired and needs some rest, but he should rest at night instead of posting nonsense. I think the only thing that was historic was Trump failing farmers and Taiwan. A $1.7 billion fund for people investigated by the Biden administration for the attack on the Capitol and investigated for the relationship with Trump. Yet before we help our farmers, homeless, and the rest of the American people, let's pay off the 1,600 plus criminals that attacked our Capitol and people that did Trump's dirty deeds for him. Let's add this with the $1 billion he wants for the Grand Ballroom, the pool, the Kennedy Center, the Rose Garden, the Great Arc, ICE budget, and all the other idiotic stuff he comes up with. Forget the American citizen who needs help. I'm sure the food bank I serve at each month will have a longer line in May. Ken writes in, I hope they also prosecute the politicians and DMV officials that gave them the CDLs. The freight brokers couldn't put them in rigs if the bureaucrats didn't give the CDL licenses. I agree, but I think it's a step in the right direction. But you're right, Ken and Mark, both. You would like to see those who gave those licenses, questionably gave those licenses, to be punished. But I have my doubts. Kind of to Rick's point, Tim Graham talks about the broadcast bias that the networks spin Trump's meeting with Xi Jinping as weakness despite a strategic plan. NBC anchor Tom Lamas was in Beijing and secured an interview with Trump, which the liberals thought wasn't confrontational enough. CNN fact-checker Daniel Dale claimed Trump lied repeatedly, and Lamas failed to correct him in real time. Some of them were obviously false, like Trump claiming he won in 2020, and some were nitpicking. China doesn't pay tariffs. NBC published its own fact-check online. Because the tone between the two leaders was positive, the end result was less negative than the typical week on the broadcast networks. But if Trump's conservative backers started complaining about being too accommodating to communists, they might predictably pounce on a MAGA split and more negative news for Trump. All right, how are we doing on time? Okay, we got to take our last break. Get your last second comments in before we wrap up today's edition of Frankly Speaking. We'll be right back.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
At Simmons Rockwell Nissan, lease a brand new 2026 Nissan Sentra SV front-wheel drive sedan for only $309 a month for 36 months. Make car buying simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rockwell Nissan in Horseheads and Ornell.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We kick off the work week with a high near 20 degrees above average, brushing close to 90. A south-southeast wind, hot and sunny. Then tonight staying very mild with temperatures once again, about 20 degrees above average with a low in the mid-60s. More 90s on the way for Tuesday. We will see some shower and thunderstorm potential Wednesday. And before you know it, back to highs in the 60s starting Thursday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Comment from a viewer. Hey, Rick, we care about the legacy of the greatest president ever, making America's symbols great again. The triumphant arch will be a symbol of greatness. Thank you very much. Comment from Ken. I love to hear the Democrats crying and complaining about everything Trump. It proves that they are worried about the country getting better on Trump and the Republicans' watch. They are terrified that they are losing their hold on the country and that the gravy train may be coming to the end of the line. Thank you, Ken. There's a really interesting piece. We're not going to have time to get to a lot of the stuff we had hoped to today, but by Jonathan Alber, who says therapy culture is turning politics into a national nervous breakdown. A psychologically healthy society cannot function if disagreement itself gets interpreted as emotional injury. We talked about that before, where me saying something that you don't like is akin to violence. Democracies require people to coexist with others they dislike, distrust, and fundamentally disagree with. Once politics becomes organized around emotional threat and moral contamination rather than persuasion and coexistence, democratic life itself becomes harder to sustain. A culture that loses the ability to tolerate disagreement eventually loses the ability to govern itself. And a politics organized around emotional safety alone will produce fragility, suspicion, isolation, and permanent conflict. Miranda Devine also has a piece at New York Post saying that Anthony Fauci can't escape his origin COVID lie. Well, maybe. We'll see. Oh, did you see New York Magazine? One of their authors, quote-unquote authors or writers, is facing plagiarism allegations, 2 or 3 pieces in 1 week. At least 3 stories with striking similarities to other published work. Ross Barkin, who is a contract writer for the magazine, first attracted critical scrutiny when one of his stories earlier this week on the conservative influencer Ben Shapiro appeared to copy another piece on Shapiro published days before in the Washington Post. With today's technology, doesn't it seem like you would know you would get caught? Bruce Blakeman is calling on Hochul to suspend congestion pricing toll during the Long Island Railroad strike and backs new legislation that would suspend the congestion tolling during any future strike by workers with NYCD Transit, Metro North, and Long Island Railroad. I think we should get rid of it altogether. But all I'm saying is suspend it when there is a situation where there is no service provided, said Blakeman. Now, Hochul pushed the Long Island Railroad strike to pick up votes on Long Island from GOP rival Bruce Blakeman, according to the transit union chief. I don't think it's any coincidence that she's doing this right in his backyard, meaning Bruce Blakeman. She believes that she can get a leg up in Nassau and Suffolk County by triggering a strike and then allowing the blame to be cast on Blakeman and the Republicans. Boy, well, we saw what happened with the matching funds situation. She must be concerned. Samuelson, whose union, Local 100, represents 40,000 subway and bus workers, also in contract talks, blames Hochul and her cronies at the Metropolitan Transportation Authority for the strike by 5 Long Island Railroad unions. He also said her inability to stop the strike could affect not only her re-election campaign, but also other races for Democrats this November. I believe that if the Democrats don't start calling Kathy Hochul out on her behavior and her anti-trade union ethos, they may very well pay the price. Hochul telling workers today, if they can, commuters, work from home if possible. Extra trains are on standby, and the New York City subway service stands ready to reach the demand. Let's face the facts. It's impossible to fully replace Long Island Railroad services, so effective Monday, I'm asking that regular commuters who can work from home should please do so. Employers should make every accommodation necessary to allow for remote work. I've already directed all state agencies affected to implement telecommuting plans for the state employees who typically come in from Long Island. Standing alongside MTA Chairman and CEO Jano Lieber, Hochul called the MTA's contract offers fair and asked the unions to return to the negotiating table. Well, that does it for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. A comment from a viewer. I think freight companies that hire undocumented drivers should bear a burden and be held accountable. I know firsthand a friend of mine gets medical supplies delivered once a month. I have proof that the driver was using a translator and he clearly couldn't drive and maneuver, as this 79-year-old had to help dig out of a ditch and drive the rig out for him. And by the way, that was not the first time or the first driver he has encountered over the years. Fortunately, although ill, he was able to help, but bottom line is he shouldn't have had to. It's wrong in so many levels. The drivers could not only hurt themselves, but he could kill somebody on the roads. Thank you for that. And that does it for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Thank you again to the representatives from Miss Colonial Days and Painted Post. We appreciate them being on the show tomorrow. Tony Pucci with his new book in the Michael Bishop mystery series called Whoppers and Other Lies. And then on Wednesday, the Rotary Club. So we've got a busy week, and we'll see you every weekday morning starting at 6 for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV. Big Fox, we will see you tomorrow morning bright and early. Look forward to it already.
Hi, this is Tom Witzel, owner of
Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is the start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Amira Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Get ready for Glass Fest, May 22nd through 24th. Brought to you by Chemung Canal Trust. Experience the magic of live glass blowing. From hands-on fun to incredible sights, there's something for everyone. Explore creations from local artisans. 3 days, one incredible celebration. Brought to you by Corning's Gaffer District. On Friday night, it's Drake White with John King opening. On Saturday, Tracy's A Taylor Experience. Join us for Glass Fest. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.